Hello everyone and welcome to another video at Leigh Junction. First of all, I shall apologise for the wait since the last video, since the introduction video. This video has taken much longer to put together than I thought it would. It's been filmed over quite a long period, so I've had to put lots of bits together. Hopefully it makes sense. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, so let's get on with it. So what we're going to do today is a bit of mod rock hill making. Now, for those of you who don't know what mod rock is, it is essentially what they make plaster casts for if you break your arm or something. So it's a mesh covered in powdered plaster of Paris glue, and what you do is you simply just place it in water, make sure it's completely covered, and then place it over the surface you want to cover, and you can mold it with your hands, and then 10 hours and it's rock hard. So it's brilliant stuff, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So there's lots of ways you can create hills and scenery in model railways, but what I'm going to be doing today is obviously using the mod rock stuff, but I'm putting that on, so essentially making a very basic cardboard frame, as you can see here, with the sort of general shape, and then filling it with newspaper, scrunching it up really tight, and then putting it in. It's also quite good because it deafens the sound of the trains going around on the top as well. But yeah, so then as you can see here, I've got this bit's completed. That's rock hard, and then put the newspaper in, and then we just put the mod rock stuff right over that. Now I've got a very large supply of newspaper here, so won't be running out anytime soon. Part of the hill here is going to be a pretty sort of waste scrub land because it's not access to the public. It's in between two busy railway lines, so it's going to be pretty dirty, pretty bare. However, it's nice to have small little details. So what I'm going to do is I've got this little workman's hut here, and that's going to be really hard to fit once the mod rock is dry, because obviously it needs to be on a flat surface, isn't it? This is a hill. So what I've done is I've created a little cardboard, little podium, if you want to call it, and that's going to glue down there, and then put the newspaper around it, and then as I put the mod rock over it, I have a flat platform which the little workman's hut can go on. So that's what I'm going to do, and I shall now set a time lapse going to speed up me doing this, because you don't want to watch me doing this for half an hour, and I'll be back to you when I've finished this. So before I get too carried away with the time lapse, I just thought I would show you just a small part of what the process is. So they come in this roll actually. Yeah, it's quite funny because I've seen a lot of people on YouTube buying the branded stuff from like Woodland Scenics and stuff, but it's actually so much cheaper just to get it on Amazon as plaster of Paris mod rock stuff. I mean, I got how many? It was like 12 rolls for £13 on Amazon, and it's exactly the same stuff, so it's really cheap and it's so effective. Anyway, so yeah, you just cut it into squares, whatever size you want. I'm not doing them too big, just because the area isn't massive. And as I said, just place it in the water, make sure it's completely covered, to both sides as well, and then just very simply place it over. There we go, and you can see actually that the little cardboard platform I put in there is quite important, because now I've got a perfect little ledge for the little house to go on. So that makes that nice and easy. So just keep doing this, and you can do, well, as many layers as you want really, but obviously the more layers you do, the better it's going to be, the stronger it's going to be. So I try to do sort of 2 roughly, and then obviously it's going to overlap a lot here and there, and yeah, it's going to dry a lot harder as well the more layers you do. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you that, and I'll carry on with the time lapse. something you would have noticed is I put a big bit of paper over the already scrunched up newspaper before I put the mod rock on. That is because on the previous bits of hills I've done, I found it's been a bit too bumpy for what I like. So I figured, well, if I flatten that out, I mean, it's obviously still not perfectly flat, and I don't want a perfectly flat hill, but, you know, not like really rocky. So yeah, it sort of works, sort of more of a rocky feel to a smoother field. Whether I carry on doing that, I'm not quite sure. But there you go, that gave you a bit of an idea of how to mod rock. It's quite a lot of fun actually, and it's very effective. Now what I'm going to do next is, you see at the back there's all that newspaper there. I need to fill in all the way up there and creating a little embankment up there. So I think I'm going to do that now as well. Now for scenery, I don't have any static grass or brown paint or anything like that at the moment. I've got a few bits and pieces, but nothing really enough to do all of this. So I'm going to get as much of the mod rock stuff as done as I can. And then in a later video, I'll crack on with all the scenery and the grass and the tiny details and things like that. So yeah, I'm now going to do that back piece and I'll be back in a minute. Right, so it's actually been probably about a week actually since I filmed me doing all of this bit of scenery, and I guess a fair amount has changed. I've been figuring out all of my tunnel port conundrums, so I've been, you know, carrying on with that, and I'm gonna hopefully, you know, develop a bit more of a hill so you actually can't see the tracks past here. So I'll tell you a bit about what I've been doing. So what I wanted with the tunnels is the trains to go into a black tunnel, obviously, and the trains disappear, and you can't see any light from the other side, which is obviously what a tunnel is. So I'm trying to go for as realistic sort of thing as possible. So what I've done is, on this first double track here, I've got a curved black card bit here, and then I've got a cardboard sort of structure where as it starts the bend. Then you've got two black card bits here, so essentially, I don't know if this is going to work. As you look down the tunnel, you can't really see that well, but it really is pretty black in there. Obviously with trains with lights on, you'll be able to see them. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So what I've done actually, so I could have just done black card, but obviously inside the tunnel it's made from brick. So I printed off some bricks off of just Google Images, and then I've stuck them down to card. You can buy loads of brick patterns off of places like Woodland Scenics and Metcalfe and places like that, but I just did this and it works for me. And I am actually going to blacken these tunnel ports, because obviously this is red brick and the brick inside the tunnel is a much darker colour, so obviously I need to blacken this out to make it all look the same. And then the single tunnel port there, I'm going to do the same. And then the top one, that's going to be blackened out, and I'm going to do this sort of card with the paper brick with that as well. So obviously, as I've explained in the first video I put out, there's a lot of track work here, and this obviously still needs to be accessible. So what I'm going to do is, so as you can see, I've got a cardboard wall here, and I'm going to carry that onto the back there, and, you know, make all my hill and everything across here. That's all going to be nice. But then finish it here, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just do the tunnel ports and the blackened tunnels, so that when I get round to doing all of this section, the sort of lift out sections are going to be obviously connected up to this, but I've just sort of done this as a barrier, so that's the end of that bit, and I'll carry on. Obviously with all the scenery on, you won't really see any lines. So yeah, also a new arrival on the layout is this one here with these 5 coaches. I'll go into a bit more detail about them at another date, but I've got those for a really good price. So that's another nice little thing. This tunnel port has actually been a bit of a nightmare, because obviously you've got the track here, and then you've got a double slip crossover bit here. So the idea is obviously trains can cross from this line to the back line, but then also I've got by the way, this curved track isn't set in here, that's just rested there. That line is going to go down to the fiddle yard, steam depot, whatever you want to call it. So trying to get so the coaches can go around that little bend there with the tunnel port has been a bit of a nightmare to try to figure out, but that'll work smoothly now. So I shall now carry on doing more of this mod rock stuff, and this is obviously all dry. You know, it's been about a week I think since I've done that, so that's what I'm going to do with, and I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, so I wasn't able to film this part, so I just took some pictures, so I'll just talk about it while these are going through. So yeah, I've on the two tunnels at the top there, well, obviously the main tunnel at the top and the single track one, I've finished putting the black card over those, and then I've built the rest of the cardboard wall and just filling it in with newspaper, and then here is just a back view of the higher tunnel, looking in the other way. Okay, so what you're looking at now is a time lapse of me carrying out the next process to the hills. So now pretty much that section of the hill is done, and the bit actually behind the camera there with the tunnel ports. So what this process is something called, I'm using something called sculpt mold. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a mix, it's kind of like a powdery stuff, almost like cotton wool. It's hard to explain, but basically use that, and it's like 2 parts of that, 1 part water, and it creates, I don't know, it obviously goes mushy, kind of almost like clotted cheese. It's hard to describe what it's like, and basically you can put it on top of the sculptor mold when it's dry, and it helps just even out the surface, so you can help sculpt the hill more into a way you want it to look, and it was also a better surface for painting and then putting the grass on. So this is the process I'm doing now. To be honest, the easiest way to do it is just use your hands, get your hands dirty, and use your hands just to mould it into all the gaps, and make it as smooth or as rough or as even or whatever you want. So it's quite fun to do actually. So that's what you're seeing me doing here. I'll put a link to where you can get some of the sculpt mold stuff in the description at the end of the video. So yeah. Okay, it's now the following evening, and all the sculpt mold is now dry up there. Now you can see on the time lapse, doesn't make a huge difference. Well, it's much kind of harder to tell on camera because obviously it's all still white, and the camera doesn't really pick up the little details as well, sort of the general sort of look of it. But it just makes it a much better surface to work on when you're painting it and putting all the grass on. So you can see it's a bit smoother, and there's did a little bit on here as well, more of a rocky surface. This is going to be more rocks on this part, and then also what I did last night, which I forgot to film, was this last section here. So originally it just ended there and I hadn't done anything over here. Now I've got a lot of tracks here, so this isn't going to be a functioning track. I don't want to go on for ages, so I'll just talk about this quickly. So the idea, I'm just going to grab this. So the idea is for this, I have mentioned it before, but I'll just go over it again. This whole area here, and this tunnel port including, is going to be like a derelict area. So the idea is that, like 100 years ago, none of this was here, and the city was still there, but basically this is sort of an industrial area, and I'm going to sink a canal in here which will follow that bend round, and I got this Metcalf building the other day which I'm going to build up, and that's going to be like a derelict Victorian factory, and then these tracks are all going to be rough and unused, used in this like blackened tunnel which is derelict and hasn't been used for years. So this is going to be a really fun little scene. I might turn that into a little series at some point in the future. So that's that. So yeah, this was just done in the same process. I might put a couple pictures up. And I've just put in a little path here because it's going to be as if it was an old little sort of farmyard track, which will carry on up there, but it's just here for now. Okay, I think that will conclude today's video. I haven't finished the sculpt mould in the back there, just where the tunnel ports are. I'll carry that on in a later video along with the painting and the grass and so forth. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you've learned a thing or two of how to make hills. I've definitely enjoyed making them. The mod rock is really effective. But yeah, if you have enjoyed it, feel free to pass it on to anyone in any capacity. You know, any support would be much appreciated. And if you have any comments, sort of ideas for layout or anything, feel free to comment them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm also on Instagram. I'll put all the links in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.